When a beautiful, innocent girl falls for a popular guy every woman dreams of, the girl, who's head over heels for him, is shocked to find out that the guy is actually in love with his own teacher. So how does the story unfold? Let's dive right into the movie's plot. This beautiful girl is named Gi-won, an art student who is very friendly, cheerful, and confident. From childhood to adulthood, her life has been dedicated to being a traditional music enthusiast. Unlike Gi-won, Lee Shin is a handsome young man in a modern music group who is very popular with the students. Among the girls on campus, Gi-won is the only student who isn't interested in Lee Shin's charm. In fact, Gi-won really hates him. Their conflict began when Gi-won was disappointed because Lee Shin canceled his appearance at an art show she organized for a charity fundraiser. Lee Shin's rude way of returning the band's fee to her made Gi-won feel disgusted. What's more, Lee Shin didn't even apologize or say thank you, even though Gi-won had filled in for him that night. Lee Shin's words actually made Gi-won furious because he brought up her musical ability. Gi-won, fueled by emotion, then said that Lee Shin's performance was no better than hers and called his band very noisy. Feeling challenged, Lee Shin then invited Gi-won to make a bet and compete in a performance. Whoever loses must agree to be the other's errand runner for 1 month. With full determination, Gi-won accepted the challenge. But as it turned out, the conflict between them quickly spread throughout the entire campus. The announcement about the competition was also posted on the campus bulletin board, sparking the curiosity of other students. Some friends in the same group as Gi-won felt worried about the bold steps she had taken. To them, it seemed impossible for the traditional group Windflower to beat the stupid, who have more professional experience. Since her pride was at stake, Gi-won kept practicing hard both at campus and at home. Even her grandfather, hearing the news, helped train his granddaughter, staying up all night to ensure she'd perform her best and win.
정신 못 차리겠니?
Not much different, the stupid team also practiced very hard because they were worried about being defeated. Students from the same major as her are united in their support, even sending food to cheer her on. Unexpectedly, before the match starts today, Lee Shin's tough attitude is slowly beginning to soften. He regrets throwing Gi-won's money after learning of her struggle to raise funds for the late Professor Kim. He apologizes to her repeatedly, but she ignores him because she's still deeply hurt by that insult.
누가 일부러 그랬어?
The stupid gives such a stunning performance that it leaves the entire audience in absolute awe. The members of Anemone, including Gi-won, suddenly feel pessimistic after seeing their performance, especially when hearing the audience's echoing shouts for Lee Shin, which instantly makes her lose her nerve. Moving on to Gi-won's performance with Team Anemone, who are ready to rock the stage. Equally impressive, they managed to make traditional music look so engaging and enjoyable for the audience. Their incredible performance immediately makes Lee Shin and his team worry that they might actually lose. In her excitement while plucking her geogam, Gi-won accidentally ends up breaking a string. A broken string during a performance is a bad omen in music, leaving her grandfather truly disappointed. He then shouts about his granddaughter's defeat and just walks away from the scene. Despite her best efforts, it was all in vain, and Gi-won ultimately loses by a landslide in the poll. As agreed upon from the start, Gi-won must now serve as Lee Shin's errand girl for 1 month. In front of the gathered female students, Lee Shin suddenly grabs Gi-won's phone and asks for her number to call her whenever needed. This sight makes the other girls jealous because Gi-won is the only girl Lee Shin gave his number to. After getting Gi-won's phone number, Lee Shin starts acting up and taking advantage of her. Today, he skips classes for the day and asks Gi-won to take his place instead. Because their actions violate campus rules, the professor gives both of them a strict sanction. That day, Lee Shin has to fulfill his mother's request to meet his biological father, whom he hasn't seen in a long time. He and his younger sister only live with their mother. His mother has been single for a long time because his father refused to stop drinking alcohol. Lee Shin's father is now lying in the hospital suffering from a rather serious illness. Just before drawing his final breath, he desperately begs to be reunited with his young son, hoping they can play guitar together one last time. Though it is incredibly hard for her, his mother finally brings Lee Shin to meet his dying father, lying that the man in the hospital bed is simply his music teacher. The two of them play guitar together, performing a song that is quite touching.
네. 다시 해봐.
It turns out that all this time, Gi-won has grown up without the presence of a father by her side. His mother's focus on her career at a magazine editorial office left him lacking affection, so he grew up to be cold and flat. But in reality, he is a brother who loves his sister very much, and they are very close wherever they are. Returning from campus by bicycle, Lee Sin always gives his sister a ride so they can go home together. Lee Sin, who always seems flat, suddenly and unexpectedly becomes emotional. Even the next day, while on stage, Lee Sin, who usually sings fast-tempo songs that echo with his electric guitar, suddenly sings a sad song while strumming an acoustic guitar. With deep feeling in his singing, he imagines his father's face and even the face of Professor Yoon-soo, who always rejects his feelings. Shortly after, those images suddenly vanish and shift to Ju-won's face, who seems annoying and often quarrels with him. In the audience, it turns out Gi-won is trying to enjoy the beautiful music sung by Lee Sin this time. After his performance is over, Gi-won informs Lee Sin that they've been punished by the professor for conspiring to skip class. They are punished by having to write an essay on today's lecture material, as well as writing a formal letter of apology. Because of his disrespectful writing to the professor, Lee Sin receives another punishment. Gi-won also gets punished again because the essay she wrote didn't follow the professor's instructions. In the end, they both receive another punishment to clean up the theater's dressing room, which is a total mess. Feeling more powerful, Lee Sin refuses to tidy up even a single item and tells Gi-won to do it all by herself. Not only that, while she's working, Lee Sin still pranks Gi-won and tells her to wear various clown costumes, making him laugh joyfully at the exhausted Gi-won's suffering. The young man even tells Gi-won to pump up his flat bicycle tire. The next day, producer Soo Kwon begins announcing to talented students to audition for a musical drama talent search to celebrate the university's 100th anniversary. Before the auditions start, the producer, who is interested in the stupid's talent, approaches Lee Sin while he's performing with his acoustic guitar and directly offers him a chance to audition. But instead of welcoming it, Lee Sin acts indifferent toward the producer, which ends up offending him. On the other hand, he actually encourages Gi-won in front of the producer to plug her geogum strings again without disappointing the audience like before. Hearing the producer's words, Gi-won becomes even more enthusiastic about practicing with the other team members. They are now preparing to bring traditional music into an amazing musical performance.
결심했어. 우리 오디션 보자.
Meanwhile, Soo-kyun, who was initially at odds with Professor Yoon-soo, is now opening his heart to forget everything his ex-lover did 6 years ago. He realizes he shouldn't let personal matters interfere with his work. Even though Yoon-soo once hurt him, it's all in the past now, and they're meeting again simply as business partners, nothing more than that. He spent all night preparing the materials thoroughly and started the re-meeting. This meeting is quite peaceful, without any of the previous conflicts. All the students are so excited to practice, including the anemone team. During her practice breaks, Q1 takes the time to call her father and tell him all about her struggles on campus. For years, her grandfather has still held a grudge against her father since the eviction incident back then. She tries to be a mediator, but her old-fashioned grandfather is very hard to soften.
아빠가 저한테 보낸 거잖아요!
On the day the audition results are announced, Anemone is one of the teams that passed to perform as accompaniment music. They jump for joy and smile happily at the news, but Kyuwon's happiness is met with a cynical look from Lee Shin. The other students who weren't selected are surprised when they look at the announcement board, because there are names of people who didn't even audition but passed to the next round. Those included are Hee-ju, the stupid, and senior Ji Young. Even though it's considered unfair, they can't protest the producer's absolute decision. The selected participants are immediately asked to gather in a room to be divided into several teams, including the vocal, dancer, and instrument teams. As the leader of the stupid, Lee Shin firmly rejects the producer's request to join the audition winners because he never wanted to perform in the first place. But after learning that Professor Yoon-soo will be training him personally from start to finish, he finally agrees to be part of the instrument team. Anemone becomes one of the accompaniments, but strangely, Soo-kyun actually asks Kyuwon to be in the vocal section, not the instrument section. As a gaeogum player, Kyuwon is surprised by the producer's decision to choose her for the vocal section. But her selection wasn't without reason, because he had previously seen Kyuwon perform as a vocal substitute at the donation event for Professor Kim. This immediately offends Lee Shin because he's a vocalist, yet the producer chose Kyuwon instead.
저요?
Before classes start, Kyuwon is forced to comply with Lee Shin's request to buy him coffee every day. Like it or not, he has to obey her, as she's being fussy about the change. Feeling annoyed, she even wrote a note saying she spat in his coffee, but Lee Sin drank it anyway. For some reason, he's becoming attracted to Gi-won's cute, innocent attitude and her willingness to do anything. He secretly watches the girl from the balcony while smiling. Ju-won being chosen as the lead in the musical has sparked a number of harsh comments from various people. During rehearsals, Gi-won faces bullying from other female students who are jealous of her. They assume Gyo-won must have a special relationship with the producer to be chosen as his favorite. Some students even intentionally trip her during practice, causing Gi-won to fall. Refusing to accept the accusations, a fierce fight breaks out between Gi-won, Hee-jo, and 3 other students, causing chaos in the studio. The 5 girls are eventually sanctioned by Soo-kun and must kneel with their hands up, counting to 100. Despite her lack of confidence in her ability as the lead, Soo-kyung continues to support her because to him, Gyu-won is the only one suited to play the role of the tough girl in the story. Not far from where the 2 of them are jogging, it turns out Professor Yoon-soo is very jealous seeing her ex-boyfriend's closeness with Gyu-won. She even sheds tears because she hasn't seen such a genuine smile on the producer's face in a long time.
아니다. 믿어봐.
지금 장난치시는 거죠?
Similarly, Lee Sin feels sad knowing the professor's jealousy over producer Suk-hyun. In his heart, he keeps wondering if the professor still has feelings for her ex-boyfriend. The reality that sounds even more bitter to Lee Sin is that tomorrow's musical tells the story of a girl who leaves her lover to chase her dreams. And that was a story idea conceived by the producer to tell his past and get revenge for his heartbreak against Professor Yoon-soo. He, who was initially uninterested, becomes increasingly challenged to be a part of this show. Even all of his friends are starting to wonder why Lee Sin has become so enthusiastic in the performance rehearsals. The other members of the Stupid also think Lee Sin is excited because of Gyu-won, when it's actually all for Professor Yoon-soo. He was even bold enough to openly show his deed love for Yoon-soo right in front of Suk-yeon and told him to stop playing with her feelings.
너한테 볼 일 있어? 공연.
Jealous of how Suk-young treated her, Yoon-soo also started acting cynical toward Ji-won. During dance practice, Ji-won felt so much pressure that she pushed herself too hard, yet she was always wrong in her coach's eyes. But Yoon-soo refused to be understanding and kept pushing her until she was completely exhausted. She pushed herself so hard all night that she sprained her ankle and ended up walking with a limp. The next day, despite her limp, Ji-won still headed off to school. Feeling sorry for her, Lee Sin offered her a ride to the campus entrance, making the other students feel jealous of her. Because all along the way, Ji-won kept holding on tightly to Lee Sin. Seeing the closeness between the two, Hee-ju acts up again and insists to Gyu-won that Lee Shin will never fall for her, considering his taste is too high and impossible to reach. In a casual tone, Gyu-won responds that she doesn't have any feelings for Lee Shin. In fact, she hates him because she's been treated like his slave all this time.
나도 너 친구로 생각 안 해.
During practice breaks, Gyu-won witnesses how persistent Hee-ju is in her training. Although she dislikes her arrogant attitude, Gyu-won feels it's not right to take the place of such an ambitious girl. She eventually complains to the producer and asks to step down from the lead role, wanting to stick to playing the Gaegum. However, the producer refuses and assures her that Lee Shin, who initially declined, has now agreed. That night, the producer, unable to bear seeing Gyu-won walking on her still injured foot, gives her a ride. The two chat freely and smile in the car as the producer tries to cheer Gyu-won up. But on the way, Gyu-won accidentally sees a shocking sight, where Lee Shin is putting a necklace on Professor Yeon-soo and trying to kiss her. It turns out, Gyu-won isn't the only one witnessing the intimacy between Lee Shin and Yoon-soo. Producer Suk-hin is also pained by it. Controlling a heartache, Gyu-won tries hitting her chest repeatedly, as it feels tight. Similarly, the producer seems to hide his own misery in front of Gyu-won. Despite trying to deny the pain of jealousy, Gyu-won stays awake all night, replaying the scene between her professor and Lee Shin. Meanwhile, even though he was rejected by Yoon-soo, Lee Shin remains aggressive toward her. He gave her the necklace as a birthday gift and a declaration of his love. After getting into her car, Yoon-soo immediately wipes her lips and takes off the necklace. Upon arriving home, Suk-yeon tries to visit her to give her a necklace and invite her for wine, but Yeon-soo refuses. The next morning during practice, Suk-yeon, still angry about last night, takes it out on Lee Shin by being petty. He keeps nitpicking his guitar playing, even though Lee Shin has practiced to his full potential. His cynical attitude leaves the students and Professor Hong a bit puzzled by him. He claims that Lee Shin is often disrespectful, and his main fault is arriving late.
아직 제대로 된 소리가 안 나오네요.
To clarify what Lee Shin did to her last night, Professor Yoon-soo asks him to come to her office. She returns the necklace and makes it clear that she's never been interested in a kid like Lee Shin. Refusing to be called a child, Lee Shin keeps insisting that his feelings aren't a game, but a sincere love. He walks out of Yeon-soo's room with a sad expression, while holding the necklace that has been returned. Gyu-won accidentally sees him and tries to say hello. She also protests why Lee Shin always tells her to buy coffee but never drinks it. Because she's ignored, Gyu-won finds an opening and makes him realize that he shouldn't love a woman older than him. Lee Shin suddenly gets emotional because he doesn't like it when others interfere in his business. He then scolds Gyu-won and doesn't want to deal with her anymore and decides to stop making the girl his errand girl.
넌 내가 시키는 대로 하긴 해.
Gyu-won's curiosity about the relationship between Professor Yoon-soo and Suk-yeon is finally answered after the producer tells her everything. In the past, Yoon-soo was the campus sweetheart who is very ambitious and no one could melt her heart. Every time Yoon-soo practiced, So-kyeon kept watching her until the two became close to each other. Seo-kyeon's friendly and attentive attitude made them more romantic day by day. But because of a dream more important than love, in the end, their relationship fell apart. In today's practice, Lee Shin, Hee-jo, and Gyu-won are cast as the main characters. During vocal practice, Seo-kyeon criticizes the song Gyu-won sang for its lack of soul. After continuous practice, finally, in the next practice, Gyu-won manages to make Suk-yeon smile at her performance. After practice, Gi-won apologizes to Lee Shin for being presumptuous and interfering in his personal business. She is willing to be his errand girl until 1 month has passed. Hearing this, Lee Shin immediately asks her to clean the band's practice room, which is very messy. Meanwhile, So-kyun, who is very determined to return Ki-young to the stage, asks him to stay in the theater room during his treatment. Although Ki-young is fed up with his ambitious ways, he finally opens his heart after seeing his stunning music video recording from last year. With his leg condition still unstable, Ki-young finally promises to return to the stage once his leg has recovered. He has even sung at the cafe where the Stupid usually performs and acted as the vocalist, wowing the audience. Having successfully broken through Ki-young's pessimism, Seok-hyun smiles with satisfaction, enjoying the performance. Even Hee-jo, who has hated Ki-young all this time, finally gives in, seeing how hard he's struggling to return to the stage. She regrets being an obstacle to his career all this time. Meanwhile, Lee Shin's mother turns out to be planning to move to a more traditional residence. It turns out they moved to a house very close to Gi-won's grandfather's house. After practice that night, Seok-hyun, unable to contain his jealousy any longer, rushes to meet Yoon-soo in the ballet studio. He pours out his heart, telling her he still loves her deeply and has never been able to forget her. As it turns out, Yoon-soo feels the same way, and the two of them share an embrace. They then promise to love each other just as they did back then. Unexpectedly, Lee Shin witnesses the scene with a look of profound sadness on his face. Nearby, Gi-won also sees what's happening and tries to offer Lee Shin some comfort. But Lee Shin just lashes out at her, saying he doesn't want anyone else's concern. He even tells Gi-won to stop seeking his attention because he'll never be interested in her. Lee Shin's harsh words are enough to bring Gi-won to the point of tears. Lee Shin vents his heartache by screaming out loud while pedaling his bicycle. To calm himself down, he goes to visit his father at the hospital. Sensing his son's sadness, he tries to cheer him up by asking him to play a duet. He tells his son a story about how he once stole his best friend's girlfriend. But in the end, he felt so guilty that he turned to non-stop drinking to cope. He ended up losing both his best friend and the woman he loved. It turns out Lee Shin's father was actually Gi-won's father's best friend. When they were young, Gi-won's father and Lee Shin's mother were in love, but Lee Shin's father took her away, causing their friendship to fall apart. After returning from the hospital, Lee Shin locks himself in his room. His mother wants to find out exactly what's going on with her son. Finally, Lee Shin admits he knows the music teacher at the hospital is his biological father. The next morning, upon arriving at campus, Lee Shin sees Professor Yoon-soo and Seok-hyun together. Seeing them so close only adds to Lee Shin's growing frustration. He then throws the necklace he bought for the professor's birthday into the grass. Lee Shin asks Yoon-soo what's so special about the producer and why she's so crazy about him. Yoon-soo firmly explains that she loves every single thing about Soo-kin.
이런 얘기 불편하다. 그만 돌아가.
As usual, Gi-won buys coffee for Lee Shin, but she can't find him anywhere. It turns out Lee Shin skipped his classes and even missed practice with his band. The members of the Stupid don't dare disturb him when he wants to be alone. Despite what happened last night, Gi-won feels sorry for him for being rejected. She tries her best to cheer him up, even though Lee Shin is being annoying. She spends the whole day looking for Lee Shin, even skipping her own classes. Finally, Lee Shin shows up, greets Gi-won, and asks her to find the lost necklace in the grass.
목걸이 하나 찾을
In
수
her
있겠어?
innocence, the girl agrees to go and look for it for him. For Lee Shin's sake, she asks her 3 friends to help her search for the necklace. They finally find a worn-out necklace, but it doesn't seem to be the one Lee Shin was searching for. With no more reason to stay in the musical, Lee Shin finally decides to quit and withdraw from the production. A shocked Q1 tries to persuade him and keeps chasing after him until she's caught in the rain. Q1 even forgets her rehearsal, making producer Seok-hyun furious, as practice can't happen without both lead actors present.
잔말 말고 당장 와. 아니면 공연에서 잘릴 줄 알아?
Today, Lee Sin's family has moved into the house right next door to his grandfather's. Lee Sin's sister is asked by her mother to borrow a hammer from Grandpa, but he doesn't have one. The little girl accidentally knocks over an expensive ceramic at Kyu-won's house, making Grandpa fly into a rage. When Kyu-won visits Lee Sin, the kid treats her like her brother's servant and demands she go buy some food. The next day, Kyu-won spends all day searching the campus, but she can't find any sign of Lee Sin. As it turns out, Lee Sin didn't even show up for school today. Even the members of the band Stupid have no idea where he could be. It turns out Lee Sin is in mourning because his father has just passed away. He and his mother go to the cemetery to pay their final respects. Before they leave, his father's wife gives Lee Sin a book of sheet music his father wrote for him. Not only that, she also gives the late man's favorite guitar to his son. Lee Sin shuts himself in his room again, staring at a photograph of his father. His days have been so miserable since Yoon-soo rejected him, and now he's lost his father too. From the start, he was actually quite proud to learn that his father used to be a famous guitarist. But on the other hand, he's disappointed that his mother only let them meet for such a short time before he died. Just before he passed away, Lee Sin's father apologized to Kyu-won's father and asked him to reunite with Kyu-won's mother. He regrets betraying his best friend and living like a loser who turned to alcohol for comfort. Tired of moping around all day, Lee Sin finally heads back to the cafe to sing. This time, he performs all by himself, cheerfully singing the song his father wrote. After he finishes singing, Lee Sin stands lost in thought in the pouring rain, weeping. Kyu-won, who's been looking for him, is told by the cafe owner that Lee Sin was just there singing. The cafe owner also informs Yoon-soo that Lee Sin's father has passed away. On her way, Yoon-soo sees Lee Sin out in the rain and immediately goes over to give him an umbrella. Lee Sin suddenly breaks down and hugs her, and not far away, Kyu-won, who also came to bring him an umbrella, has to watch them embrace. She cried and felt so foolish because her feelings were never reciprocated. She should have arrived earlier so she could comfort Lee Sin. She then went home in despair until her head felt dizzy. On the other hand, Lee Sin, who had lost his zest for life, now began to realize that his love for Yoon-soo was a mistake. He understood, after his mother told him that a woman might be able to live with a man she doesn't love, but she can't force herself to be happy, just like what his mother felt after marrying his father and leaving her lover. He didn't want to make Yoon-soo suffer because of him. The next day, Lee Sin had truly moved on from the professor and intended to return the umbrella to her office. But before he could meet the owner, he was greeted by Soo-kyun. This time, he greeted him so kindly and pleaded for the producer to take care of Yoon-soo wholeheartedly and not disappoint her. Besides forgetting Yoon-soo, Lee Sin now began to change his cold attitude to being more friendly to Gyu-won's friends. Maybe this is the beginning of a feeling of love. He felt sympathetic, opened his heart after learning that Gyu-won had worked hard all day yesterday to find her lost necklace.
너 만나야 된다고 카타르시스에서 쫓아나갔는데.
One of the professors asked Lee Sin and the Anemone team to collaborate between traditional and modern music. Without refusal, Lee Sin and Gyu-won were so united in studying together at the library to find references to support their performance. Their closeness became even more established after the event was over. Usually, Lee Sin never wanted to join the others for a meal. But this time, he joined and ate with the Anemone team at a barbecue restaurant. Even if a bit reluctantly, Lee Sin was even willing to go to the karaoke studio. While enjoying singing, it turned out Gyu-won had indigestion and her body was weak from being in the rain yesterday. Lee Sin quickly helped her in the restroom, and they even seemed to be at peace on the way home. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun, who is now trying to respect Taejun's decision, wants to hold a reselection for the lead roles in the musical. In this meeting, he revamped the previous theme into a theme about triangles and dreams. He even invited the press council to maximize his project so that the event would be even more festive. Before the audition started, he invited Gyuwon to have coffee together. He also motivated the girl so she could become the lead actress without any more bullying like before.
며칠 후에 여주인공을
Not only
정하는
that,
오디션이 있을 거야.
Suk-hyun also gave a breath of fresh air to the 3 female students who were always jealous of Gyuwon and promised to give them opportunities as supporting cast members. They are truly honored by the opportunity given to them by the producer. Seeing Kyuwon's enthusiasm, the arrogant Heejoo tries to dampen her spirits and insists that she won't let Kyuwon take the lead role. Instead of being affected, Kyuwon teases her, saying she'll give her best performance and outshine everyone.
뭐 부를 거야?
All night long, Kyuwon kept practicing her vocals while listening to the song her father recommended. As a modern music professor, her father knows his daughter is strong in mellow songs and gave her a VCD that's perfect for her to sing tomorrow. But unfortunately, just as Kyuwon is so excited, she's blocked by her own grandfather, who has never approved of modern music. Grandfather's furious after finding out that his granddaughter is studying a book about modern music. Grandfather strictly forbids his granddaughter from performing in the musical drama and even locks Kyuwon in her room so she can't go to campus.
열어주세요, 할아버지.
As the audition is about to start, Suk-hyun panics upon learning that Kyuwon isn't in school because her grandfather forbade her. He tries going to her house to persuade the grandfather, but he is met with rejection. When the producer failed to win him over, it was up to Lee Sin to find a way to distract the grandfather so that Gyuwon could escape. While being tricked by Young-hun, Gyuwon finally managed to get to campus by hitching a ride on Lee Sin's bicycle. Despite being a little late, Gyuwon finally managed to give her best performance, and she even shed tears because she was so moved by the song. The judges and the audience were truly mesmerized watching her. Lee Sin, who heard it, was also touched by her beautiful voice. The sad song recommended by her father perfectly represented the one-sided love she felt for Lee Sin. The time for the decision has arrived. The judges finally appointed Heejoo as the lead actress. They also congratulated her. Meanwhile, Gyuwon was only chosen as the second character. It didn't matter to her, even though she wasn't the lead, especially since Gyuwon had tried her best and followed her heart. After the audition, Suk-yoon tried to comfort the girl by messing up her hair. To him, Gyuwon was like an adorable little child. He also praised her peak performance, calling her a professional diva. As it turns out, Lee Sin was behind her and saw their intimacy with a jealous face. He tried to offer Gyuwon a ride home, but Gyuwon refused and chose to go home with the producer instead.
아니, 괜찮아. 혼자 갈게.
혼자서 어쩌려고.
Not wanting to leave Gyuwon alone with the producer, Lee Sin finally got into his car and they went home together. Throughout the journey, even though they sat next to each other, the two seemed to be at odds, making Suk-yoon wonder. Because he was taking Gyuwon home, Suk-yoon had to cancel his plans to go to the movies with Yoon-soo. As soon as Gyuwon got home, her grandfather didn't scold her, but he acted indifferent, even though Gyuwon kept whining to stay in the musical. Tired of hearing it, her grandfather finally asked Gyuwon for the producer's phone number, claiming he had important business with him to discuss the future of traditional music. The next morning, Lee Sin greeted Gyuwon first and invited her to go to school together because his bike was left on campus last night. All night long, he kept smiling sweetly after returning from practice, so much so that his mother was surprised to see the change in her son's attitude. He also warned his sister not to call the girl a slave and asked his sister to be more respectful of her. The entire campus was suddenly abuzz with news of Gyuwon's stunning performance. The news writer swayed opinion that Heeju shouldn't be the lead and that she had taken Gyuwon's position because of her parents' strong influence on campus.
이현이 자식 이건 뭐가 돼도 되겠어?
Heeju's mother came to campus and threatened to fire him if he didn't manage to get rid of Gi-won, who dared to surpass her daughter. Similarly, despite being chosen, Heeju turns out to be very jealous of Gi-won. She's not only jealous of her talent, but also because Gi-won is liked by many students. Even the trio of gossiping girls now admire her and criticize Haiju, saying she was chosen due to nepotism, not her skills.
한편 한희주가 우릴 째려보네.
Haiju cries until Jun-hui comforts her, making her smile again before he takes her home. But upon arriving home, they receive an unpleasant welcome from her mother because Jun-hui looks like a vagrant. Faced with a complex situation, a hesitant Gi-won finally begs the producer to let her stay as an instrumentalist, not a singer. She feels bad for outshining Heeju, especially since being a vocalist isn't really her passion. But Seok-yeon disagrees and scolds her because she's been chosen and can't just quit whenever she wants.
어디서 까불고 있어?
Another reason is her grandfather's strong opposition. She doesn't know yet that her grandfather has suddenly become interested in collaborating modern and traditional music. Grandfather even offers to be the instrumental coach for this musical drama.
일주일에 몇 번 나와서 도와줄까?
Currently, Gi-won is trying to avoid Lee Shin because she doesn't want her heart to be broken. But as it turns out, it's now Lee Shin who's becoming aggressive toward her. The young man keeps finding excuses just to be near Gi-won all the time. From asking her to summarize music lessons, to accompanying her to a senior citizens event. To be with Gi-won, Lee Shin is even willing to dance with the seniors and eat with them. At the dinner table, Lee Shin refuses to drink alcohol because he doesn't want to be like his father. Unlike him, Gi-won drinks non-stop until she's heavily intoxicated and Lee Shin has to carry her home. It doesn't stop there. Lee Shin still asks her to practice music together until late at night. Before practice ends, the members of Windflower and the Stupid give Gi-won a birthday surprise. They all look so cheerful, including Lee Shin. But unfortunately, their happiness is interrupted when Gi-won suddenly falls down the stairs and sprains her ankle. The girl falls because she's flustered when Lee Shin wishes her a happy birthday with a happy smile. Feeling responsible, Lee Shin immediately takes her to the hospital and intends to look after her. Not to be outdone, producer Seok-yeon also feels responsible for Gi-won and wants to be by her side. He asks her grandfather to just rest at home. While both fight to watch over Gi-won, the nurse doesn't allow either of them to stay by her side, as neither is a family member.
두 분 가족이세요?
아니요.
The next day, Lee Shin is still looking for excuses to meet with Gi-won. She claimed that the summary of the art material he taught was so complex that she asked to be taught again until she fully understood. Although Gi-won had previously fallen for Lee Shin, she is now acting very cold and harsh toward him, making Lee Shin feel uncomfortable. The young man feels he's lost Gi-won's attention, which was very precious to him.
귀 안 들어와?
뭐? 야!
Members of the Stupid and Windflower come to visit, bringing various kinds of food. They are surprised to see Lee Shin at the hospital. However, Lee Shin manages to make an excuse that he is studying traditional music. They try to invite Gi-won to have some fun by playing with fireworks. The students' fun is interrupted when a security guard catches them, forcing them to run away to avoid getting caught. Quickly, Lee Shin pushes Gi-won's wheelchair and takes her away. As everyone scatters, only Gi-won and Lee Shin are left alone together. Lee Shin, who has missed the cheerful Gi-won, tries to apologize and kneels before her. He wants Gi-won to be like she used to be, not the cold Gi-won she is now. Instead of being touched by Lee Shin's confession, Gi-won is offended and accuses him of playing with women's feelings. To her, Lee Shin is a playboy who only shows off his charm because he thinks he's perfect. The two end up sulking and at odds again when Gi-won asks Bo-won to come and push her back to her hospital room. Still refusing to give up, before heading to campus, Lee Shin makes time to stop by the hospital. Even though Gyu-won is curt with him, he still wants to be with her.
귀찮아. 그냥 네가 해.
While Gyu-won is away from class, Hee-ju receives a series of criticisms from the professor because her performance lacks feeling. She only relies on ambition and status to achieve her position. Producer Suk-hyun begins to demonstrate how to sing, not just by relying on the voice, but also by feeling it. Hearing the producer's beautiful voice, Lee Shin only remembers his time with Gyu-won, who isn't on campus because she's still sick. Making her angrier, angrier, the gossip trio mocks Hee-ju's stiff performance again, causing her to lose her temper. Not staying silent, as her coach, Suk-hyun, tries to advise her to perform at her best by putting deep love into every performance. But she finds it difficult because she has never truly loved anyone. All she has ever wanted is recognition. To improve her performance, Hee-ju asks Ki-young to teach her how to sing well, promising to pay him handsomely if he keeps the lessons a secret.
오빠가 좀 가르쳐줘.
내가 뭘?
The next morning, the campus announces that a management training event will be held in 2 days, planned to take place near the coast. They're all so excited to welcome it, including Gyu-won, who wants to get out of the hospital fast to join the event. While visiting Gyu-won at the hospital, Suk-hyun tried to tease her by pinching her face. He wouldn't let Gyu-won be alone in the hospital while her friends were out having fun. In the end, Gyu-won insisted on going, even though her grandfather tried to stop her, given that she hadn't fully recovered yet.
할아버지.
As soon as Gyu-won got home, Lee Shin felt very relieved and took the time to greet her father and grandfather. Finally, Gyu-won's father was able to meet the young man who had captured his daughter's heart. Honestly, he was curious about the person being called the narcissistic prince. To win that Gyu-won's sympathy, Lee Shin was even willing to sit for a long time until he got sleepy just to hear her grandfather talk about the history of classical music.
그래 괜찮으니까.
During the training event, Professor T.A. Lee-jun was actually secretly plotting a wicked plan to bring down Suk-hyun and remove him from his important role at the university. At the request of Hee-ju's mother, Tae-jun was aggressively digging for information regarding Suk-hyun's scandals in the entertainment world. He then discovered the fact that Suk-hyun had actually once acted unfairly toward the lead actor of a drama he was working on. At that time, he suddenly replaced them with another actor. He's gonna spread those rumors to the public to get Suk-hyun sidelined.
자존심으로 먹고 사는 인간인데.
Several professors were unable to attend today's training event. While on the bus, Gyu-won and Lee Shin still seemed to be holding on to their resentment. But once they arrived at the location, Lee Shin kept looking for ways to be close to Gyu-won. He offered to take the girl shopping, while the other friends chose to cook together at the dorm. Jun-hee seemed so enthusiastic about cooking, accompanied by Hee-ju, who was actually forced into it, because that drummer dragged her along.
너 뭐 하는 거야?
이렇게 해야 금세 피가 멎는단 말이야.
With her condition not yet recovered, while at the market, Gyu-won again experienced pain in her ribs and tried to find some pain relief medication. Until Lee Shin was confused looking for her. He suddenly got angry at Gyu-won because she'd made him anxious all day long. When Gyu-won was about to perform a dance with her 3 friends, Lee Shin suddenly grabbed her hand and forbade her from performing because her ribs were still sore. He openly didn't want Gyu-won to get hurt, making the girl feel flustered in her response.
더 아프면 어쩌라 그래?
바람꽃.
Giving her more and more attention, Lee Shin followed Gyu-won when she went to get some dessert treats. He was so quick to help Gyu-won when she tripped and gave her a massage. But Gyu-won felt uncomfortable and preferred to be accompanied by Bo-won rather than Lee Shin. As he watched Gyu-won walk away from him, he could only stare at her with a sad look. It turns out it wasn't just the students who enjoyed the trip. Suk-hyun and Yoon-soo, whose date was cancelled before, were finally able to get close and enjoy the fresh coastal air.
얼마면 되는데?
많이.
While everyone was asleep, Gyuwon sat alone outside enjoying the breeze because she couldn't close her eyes. Similarly, Lee Shin couldn't sleep either because he kept thinking about Gyuwon. He warned Gyuwon to rest, stay healthy, and not push herself too hard. The girl made an excuse that she was actually disappointed by the bad weather when she really wanted to play on the beach and see a shooting star. Lee Shin suddenly grabbed Gyuwon's hand and said that if there was a shooting star, he'd pray for Gyuwon to go back to how she used to be, being so caring toward him. Gyuwon was still considering what Lee Shin said without giving him an answer. When she was about to leave for campus, Lee Shin waited in front of her gate to ask her for ice cream before classes started. When he wanted to express his feelings, Lee Shin was always interrupted by Bo-won coming to call Gyuwon. In the middle of practice, he played his guitar quite loudly to get her attention. But it turned out Gyuwon didn't want to look at him at all, even though the other girls were totally mesmerized. After the producer arrived, he informed them that Gyuwon shouldn't be too far from the lead actress, even though she's an understudy.
희주한테 무슨 일 생기면 네가 주인공이야.
Seeing Gyuwon and Heeju's constant hostility, the producer invited them for coffee so the two girls could make peace and the show could proceed smoothly. Even though they both hated each other, they were forced to make up in front of the producer. While drinking her coffee, Heeju mocked Gyuwon for not being able to maintain her diet. All this time, Heeju has been on a very strict diet to maintain her looks, while Gyuwon always appeared as she was. The producer tried to mediate and didn't take sides with either of them. He agreed with Heeju about maintaining appearances because it's indeed important for an artist. But he didn't allow her to torture herself too much, especially not eating for a whole day.
알겠어?
네. 네.
After meeting the producer, Lee Shin, who had been waiting for her, was interrupted by Bo-woon, who asked her to go clothes shopping. The rumors about Gyuwon and Lee Shin at the ice cream shop shocked the anemone team, and they made a threat. If there were any rumors about Gyuwon, she would be kicked out of Anemone. Still determined to see his crush, Lee Shin went to her grandfather's house and listened to a lecture about music. Even though his legs started to hurt, he was even willing to wait until Gyuwon came home. But when she got home, it turned out Bo-won had also come along to give a t-shirt as a gift to her grandfather. A brilliant idea strikes him. He asks Bo-won to attend the lecture so he can take Gyuwon out for a walk.
우리 규환이가 빨리 남자친구가 생겨야 같이 커플.
Lee Shin is so happy to finally sit with Gyuwon without any interruptions. Finally, he can apologize for his past behavior that often troubled Gyuwon and promises to be the best man for her. The two of them are seen smiling while practicing music using their gadgets. Now, without any hesitation, Lee Shin holds Gyuwon's hand in front of all the students, causing a stir across the campus. Three gossiping female students can't accept that their idol is dating Gyuwon. They try to bother her by creating a poll on the bulletin board filled with hate speech. The girl is sad because her relationship with a popular student has made her hated by many people. While the producer is busy on a date with Yoon-soo, Tae-Yoo-jun announces a sudden instruction that Heeju's mother and investors are coming to campus to watch the students' rehearsal. Actually, Heeju's mother wants to show off her daughter to the investors, but unfortunately, her daughter can't attend because she's busy having lunch on the rooftop with Jung-hye. The drummer is concerned about Heeju's extreme dieting to the point where she refuses to eat anything.
이건 먹어도 살 안 찌는 도시락이야.
The producer immediately asks Gyuwon to perform in place of Heeju. Lee Shin, seeing the anxiety on her face, immediately motivates her to give it her all. Unexpectedly, Gyuwon's performance this time truly amazes all the investors. However, this makes Heeju's mother furious because it's not her daughter who is being praised. When Heeju reads the message from the producer, she rushes to the stage, but the event is already over. Her mother, seeing her with Jung-hye, immediately slaps her because she has embarrassed her. Not wanting her daughter to lose on stage again, Heeju's mother, who was initially confident in her daughter's ability, now asks T.A. Jun to release a producer scandal and take down Gi-won by any means necessary. For her extraordinary performance, the producer praises Gi-won and ruffles her hair because he finds her adorable. Their closeness makes Lee Shin jealous, so he immediately brushes his hand away and forbids the producer from touching his girlfriend.
이규환, 어린애 아니에요.
As his daughter gets closer to Lee Shin, the father is shocked to find out that Lee Shin is the son of his former lover. Actually, he intentionally returned to Seoul after his late wife's passing to rekindle his story with Lee Shin's mother. But after learning that their children like each other, he becomes worried and even thinks about his daughter finding a man other than Lee Shin. However, he doesn't get a warm welcome because Lee Shin's mother has no desire to marry again. That evening, Lee Shin asks Gi-won to come and watch his performance at the Catharsis Cafe. When Gi-won appears in the middle of the audience, Lee Shin immediately changes his song from a fast tempo to a slow one. This song was composed by his father and tells the story of a man's expression of love. After the song ends, Lee Shin suddenly calls Gi-won to come closer to the stage. In front of everyone, Lee Shin kisses the girl's lips as an announcement that they are now officially a couple. Their intimacy causes a stir among the audience, making Gi-won worry that she'll be hated by the stupid's fans. That concern might come true tomorrow, but Lee Shin tries to reassure her that she'll be safe with him, and no one will dare bother her. Before entering her house gate, Lee Shin plants a kiss on her forehead, leaving Gi-won unable to sleep all night as she remembers that happy moment. The next morning, Lee Shin, who got 2 tickets to a 3D art museum from his mother, plans to take Gi-won out while there are no classes. As soon as Gi-won arrives, Lee Shin greets her with a joke because Gi-won is wearing a new dress with the tag still attached. To look her best in front of her boyfriend, Gi-won apparently bought new clothes before going to the museum. The two of them look so happy, enjoying the beauty of the displayed paintings and capturing them on camera.
이거 봐. 제대로 당했어.
During the lunch break, Lee Shin wants to get to know Gi-won better. He's curious why Gi-won doesn't live with her father. In the end, Gi-won is honest that her father and grandfather never got along, as her grandfather is a conservative traditional musician, while her father is a modern music professor. Lee Sin finally opened up about his family background, explaining that he and his sister were actually born to different fathers. Meanwhile, the producer received a harsh reprimand from the director because he was accused of discriminating against Heeju and not allowing her to perform when the investors arrived. In fact, before the show started, he had called Heeju dozens of times to get her to perform, but the girl never answered. It turns out all those accusations were deliberately orchestrated by Heeju's mother and Tae-chun to remove Sukyeon from his role as the producer for the campus anniversary event. On her mother's orders, Heeju was forbidden from going to school for several days and had to pretend to be sick at home. To strengthen her charade, Heeju asked Jung-hee to lie and say that she wasn't with her during yesterday's practice. As the wife of the university president, Heeju's mother hates it when any student is more talented than her daughter. Previously, Gi-young was kicked out for similar reasons, and now it's Gi-won's turn to be removed by any means necessary. The tables turned as Heeju gained sympathy from the campus students, making it seem as if she was the one being treated unfairly by the producer. Meanwhile, Gi-won had to face hate speech from the gossip trio who considered her a nuisance during Heeju's performance.
미신 홀린 것도 모자라 감독님까지 구워 삶았네? 그게 무슨 소리예요?
To protect Ji-won from the insults of other students, Lee Sin asked her to just step down from a vocal position and return to the music section. However, Gi-won firmly refused. Since the producer was still determined to finish the project, Heeju's mother and Tae-chun tried to stop him by setting a trap for him to meet Gi-won at a hotel cafe. Heeju's mother contacted the producer asking him to wait at the hotel to clarify the situation. But it turned out that Gi-won was the one who showed up, having just received a message from him, even though it was actually Tae-chun who had sent the message. While the two were at the hotel, a photographer took their picture and spread it across campus, leading the producer to be summoned by the director for violating rules and facing strict sanctions. Despite his repeated denials that it was a setup, the director finally decided that Gyu-won should take a leave of absence for several semesters to avoid the spreading rumors. Unable to accept Gyu-won being pushed out, an emotional Suk-hyun immediately grabbed Tae-chun's collar because he was the one who had set him up the night before.
말해. 선배는 알잖아. 석현.
He could accept having to leave the project, but to him, Gyu-won didn't deserve to be the victim. When the producer decided to quit, Professor Yun-so tried to stop him and asked Suk-hyun to marry her immediately. Although it sounded selfish and poorly timed, to her, that was the only way she could silence the rumors once and for all. If the two of them got married, then Gyu-won could stay on campus and Suk-hyun could remain the producer for this event. Meanwhile, to keep Gyu-won from seeing the leaked photo of her and the director, Lee Shin took her to an amusement park in the producer's car. He distracted her and kept her from answering Bo-woon's call, knowing the news would be too painful.
이런 타이밍에 전화할 사람은 걔밖에 더 있어?
Not long ago, she was criticized for her love life, and now she's in trouble because of Hee-ju's mother. Lee Shin couldn't even imagine how devastated Gyu-won would be if she saw that photo spreading across the campus. Even though he was jealous seeing Gyu-won with the producer all night, Lee Shin stayed by her side, certain they were both being framed. Meanwhile, Hee-ju returned to campus after her mother successfully caused a scene to take down the director. She seemed carefree, having successfully pushed Gyu-won aside with her mother's help. On the other hand, Jung-hye felt guilty as the key witness who was with Hee-ju when she skipped practice. He wanted to tell the truth, but Hee-ju kept threatening him.
공연 끝나기 전까지 절대 말하면 안 돼.
Still enjoying the date, Gyu-won decided to grab her phone, which Lee Shin had hidden from her. She was shocked to hear the producer was quitting the project because of the scandal involving her last night. Panicking, Gyu-won rushed back to campus to clear everything up. But Lee Shin stopped her, admitting he took her on a date just to shield her from the painful truth. He didn't want her to be sad and asked her to step down instead of letting the producer take the fall. When Gyu-won insisted on leaving, Lee Shin grabbed her hand and threatened to break up with her. But Gyu-won didn't care about breaking up until Lee Shin hugged her, asking her to stay and promising the producer would handle it. Eventually, Gyu-won agreed to listen to Lee Shin and stayed by his side. After their walk, Gyu-won wanted to stop at a shop to buy doll keychains holding a guitar and a gaegyum. The two of them enjoyed their walk until it was almost night. Honestly, Gyu-won was worried about the producer, but Lee Shin reassured her and promised to check on him when returning the car. It turned out Suk-hyun was heavily intoxicated at the Catharsis Cafe. After his fight with TA June, he left the university looking furious, which really worried Myung-soo. The Suk-hyun he knew had never been such an emotional person. Seeing Suk-hyun in such a mess, the cafe owner called Yoon-soo to take him home. With help from Lee Shin, who happened to be there, Yoon-soo took Suk-hyun back to her place. Even the next morning, Suk-hyun couldn't remember how he ended up at Yoon-soo's house.
미안하다.
To clear his head, he went fishing and tried not to think about the performance. Unlike her usual routine of being with Lee Sin, Ki-won left early this morning by herself just to see Suk-hyun. However, it turns out the producer has now resigned, leaving the other students feeling both sad and disappointed. Rehearsals just won't go smoothly without the producer there. Seeing Ki-won's sadness over Suk-hyun's resignation, Yoon-soo tries to comfort her by saying it wasn't her fault and asks her to keep performing so Suk-hyun isn't let down.
오늘은 안 나올 것 같다.
Ever since Suk-hyun stepped down from his duties, now the musical drama production has been taken over by Tae Jun as the new producer. This move faced a lot of pushback from the students because they felt he was being unprofessional. He even overhauled every scene that Soo-hyun had prepared, and even went as far as removing Ki-won from one of the roles. Since Ki-won wasn't involved, the stupid and anemone ultimately decided to withdraw from the performance as well. Overcome with sadness, Ki-won chose to go up to the attic and cry. She felt guilty, believing she was the one who caused all this chaos. While searching all over for Ki-won, he just couldn't seem to find her anywhere. Lee Sin then went to the campus broadcasting center and sang a romantic song to try and cheer her up. Realizing how much Lee Sin was worrying about her, Ki-won came back down and the two of them shared a hug. He didn't want Ki-won to be sad about anything and asked her to stay close to him from now on. Even though they're no longer in the vocal roles, they're still practicing together for their collaboration. In the middle of their practice, her grandfather suddenly called Ki-won and told her to come home after hearing from Jung-hyun that she and Lee Sin were dating. But that Ki-won was also cheating with the producer. Her grandfather then threatened to transfer Ki-won to a completely different university. Upon hearing that, both of them suddenly became very anxious. However, Lee Sin tried to calm her down and promised he would protect Ki-won when they faced her grandfather. Feeling guilty for having lied, Juni broke down in tears and knelt down right in front of Ki-won. He admitted to telling a lie in front of the professors, even though he was actually the one who convinced Hee-jo to skip practice. To be honest, Lee Sin was really upset with him, but Ki-won and Bo-woon stepped in to defend him. Because since that incident, Jun-hee had become so depressed that he refused to eat anything at all.
너 요즘 밥도 못 먹었지?
In front of her grandfather, Lee Sin explained that he and Ki-won were just collaborating on traditional and modern music, while producer Soo-hyun was simply in charge of the event. They didn't have any kind of relationship beyond their professional work on the stage. Eventually, her grandfather understood, but he insisted that Lee Sin come over every day to listen to his lectures for an hour. The young man racked his brain and came up with a plan to have Jun-hee take his place with her grandfather. He also wants to teach him a lesson for his betrayal. Meanwhile, Ki-won's father has decided to make peace with the grandfather and live with him. But with one condition, the grandfather forbids the father from teaching Ki-won about modern music.
들어오기 전에 나하고 한 가지 약속을 하자.
He doesn't want to miss this chance and plans to greet Lee Shin's mother, who is now his neighbor. The two of them chat about their respective children and their musical talents. Since the father is gone, Lee Shin's mother asked Ki-won's father to be her son's private tutor. Though they were once in love, they now seem like ordinary friends because Lee Shin's mother is acting professionally and no longer involves her feelings. After being persuaded by Yoon-soo, who followed him to the fishing spot, Suk-hyun finally agrees to return to campus. Since his departure, the university director has been overwhelmed because investors withdrew their sponsorship from the event. The producer's return to campus is warmly welcomed by the students. With the big day approaching, Suk-hyun, dissatisfied with their performance, asks the students to stay on campus for a few days so they can practice 3 times a day.
다들 각오하고 오도록 해. 알았어?
That night, after practicing, the students play a ghost-catching game. The male students play the ghosts, while the female students play the ghost catchers. Since the whole campus is dark, Lee Shin is worried about Ki-won, who's easily frightened. He takes the initiative to keep her company in the attic without joining the game. On the other hand, Hee-ju is unable to attend because she has a sore throat. During vocal practice, she always avoids it because her voice sounds so bad. When she sees the doctor, she tries to hide her illness from her mother. Even though she has to undergo surgery in the near future, she doesn't want her illness to interfere with tomorrow's performance. Despite being hidden, it turns out Tae-jun was secretly watching everything and reported Hee-ju's illness to her mother. He even provokes her, saying it's useless to hold such a big show if her daughter can't perform. Until the next morning, while the students are exercising, Myung-soo suddenly announces that the campus anniversary performance will be cancelled. Shocked by the news, Suk-hyun immediately rushes to meet the director to ask for an explanation. But the director can't provide any information because it has all become a final decision.
미안하다. 내 선에서 해결을 못해서.
He goes on to meet Hee-ju's mother because she is considered the most influential in the show's cancellation. Similarly, the woman insists that the show should be cancelled because there have been many problems from the start. In his anger, Soo-kyun even corners Tae-jun and accuses him of playing a part in the cancellation, as he had tried to sabotage Soo-kyun from the beginning. But Tae-jun denies it and insists that he didn't want that to happen at all. There's nothing more he can do. While his project isn't going well, Suk-yen gets a great offer from a director to be a musical theater producer abroad. Without thinking twice, Suk-yen agrees and starts packing up his things on campus. But before that, he can only look sadly at the stage that was originally meant to be the performance venue. Unable to be away from him, Yoon-soo tries to stop him from leaving by hugging him tightly from behind. Although it's hard, there's no longer any reason for him to stay. A deeply distressed Lee Shin tries to determine the most effective way for the show to go on independently without campus support. He's optimistic that the show can still happen as long as the producer stays with them.
이러시면 안 되잖아요.
진짜 비겁하시네요.
Seeing how enthusiastic the students are, Suk-yeon finally cancels his plan to go back abroad and continues to guide the kids until the big day. He agrees to change the university anniversary title to a student party performance. The participants deliberate and work together to support the event by donating funds. A member of the notorious gossip trio generously donates the money she planned to use for a cosmetic nose surgery, while Lee Shin promises to contribute his entire cafe salary to the event. Not wanting to be outdone, Anemone also wants to perform a collaboration with the Stupid at Catharsis Cafe to earn more money.
바자회 같은 거 열면 어떨까요?
1인칭집도 해야지.
Before her surgery, Hee-ju can attend practice because she has to undergo an examination. At a time like this, she really misses the practice moments and the moments with Jun-hee. It's still fresh in her memory when Jun-hee kidnapped her from the hospital so she could audition. As soon as she hears the show will still go on, she asks Jun-hee to take her to campus. But this time, she doesn't want to be the lead, but rather wants to train Ki-won, whom she thinks isn't good at choreography. This time, Hee-ju is self-aware that her voice is not fit to be performed. Seeing Hee-ju arrive at practice, Lee Shin gets upset and confronts her. She shouldn't be there as she's the mastermind behind it all. But a hesitant Ki-won gives in and gives her a chance. Because her daughter ran away from the hospital, her mother lashes out and accuses the producer of forcing her daughter. But the producer finally learns the show is cancelled because Hee-ju has to undergo surgery.
왜 말 안 했어?
That night, the Stupid and Anemone perform a collaboration at Catharsis Cafe, wowing the audience. After the show, Lee Shin being swarmed by women makes Ki-won really jealous, so she decides to get back at him by approaching a guy who wants to introduce himself. On the way home, Lee Shin tries to protest Ki-won's actions because she belongs only to him. The Ki-won argues that Lee Shin was the one who started making her jealous. As an apology, Lee Shin tries to massage her tired feet. Returning the attention, Ki-won kisses Lee Shin's forehead, making him feel over the moon. But unexpectedly, at the same time, they run into their respective parents. Just as romantically, the two parents are also holding hands because Ki-won's father is supporting Lee Shin's mother, who sprained her ankle because her heel broke. Although it's awkward for everyone, their parents finally clarify that they used to be in love with each other. But now everything has changed, as Lee Shin's mother prioritizes her son's feelings. To reassure Ki-won, Lee Shin makes a joke that he would never accept it if Ki-won became his stepsister.
나도 그랬나 봐.
The next day, the long-awaited stage show finally begins. Ki-won's grandfather and father are seen attending, even though at first the grandfather didn't support Ki-won being on stage. Similarly, Lee Shin's mother and sister also sit in the audience near Ki-won's family. In the dressing room, Ki-won and the other cast members get ready for makeup. One of the gossip trio is really impressed because she's assigned to do the lead character's makeup. Before the show starts, Q-won feels nervous until Lee Shin comforts her. The audience is truly shocked when the one appearing as the female lead turns out not to be Q-won, but Hee-jo. Another unique thing in this performance is that Hee-ju is not heard singing a single song from beginning to end, but only performs choreography accompanied by music. It turns out this was Q1's idea, because to her, Hee-ju is more deserving of performing since she has put in maximum effort. There are no problems with this performance, even though Q1 doesn't show herself. But at the end of the scene, Q1 is heard singing the closing song as a shadow singer for Hee-ju, who at that time is singing with Lee Shin and Ki-young. She wept backstage, and everyone could feel the depth of her performance. Once the show was over, Lee Shin went straight to the crying Gyu-won and tried to wipe away her tears. He assured her that even though she was backstage, Gyu-won was the true artist, because she's the winner who sacrificed for the sake of others' happiness. They all admired each other's performances, even the gossip trio, who were completely blown away by Gyu-won singing. Since he'd liked her for so long, Myung-soo planned to ask Sarung out and give her some movie tickets. But unfortunately, it turned out that gossip trio was inseparable, as they wanted to tag along and watch the movie too. To celebrate their success on stage, the producer treated the students to a party at the Catharsis Cafe. It was truly a touching scene as Gyu-won and Hee-ju finally made peace, even gently fixing each other's hair after the producer had ruffled it while warmly praising their performance. Seeking public recognition, Hee-ju's mother brought in reporters to cover her daughter's performance. But surprisingly, Hee-ju, who was so impressed by Gi-won, admitted to the reporters that she was just lip-syncing and Gi-won was the real singer. She insisted that without Gi-won's help, she couldn't have performed, which really ended up offending her mother.
제 이규현이라고요. 무슨 소리야 이게?
Not only were the students happy, but the producer, successful with his project, was ready to plan a romantic surprise proposal for his girlfriend. He asked Yu-won and Young-soo to set up balloons and prepare a variety of delicious dishes for dinner. But they never made it because their car broke down, so they were forced to just have instant noodles for dinner. Despite the fact that things did not turn out exactly as they had originally planned, Yoon-soo still accepted Seok-yoon's proposal and made a sincere promise to go abroad with him whenever he felt ready to go.
근데 자기 노래에 내가 완전히 넘어간 거 아니야?
The next day, the director who'd invited Seok-yoon abroad planned to recruit Gi-won and her friends for an audition at his record label. He wanted Gi-won to collaborate and sing the same song that was performed during the show's finale. Excited about the audition, the Stupid and Windflower practiced intensely until late into the night. But on the other hand, Gi-won was worried because the audition date clashed with the Gaeagun competition her grandfather signed her up for. As they practiced late into the night, her grandfather suddenly showed up at the studio in a rage and dragged Gi-won away. He threatened to not let Gi-won go to college and made her practice the Gaeagum until dawn.
내일부터 학교 가지 말고 집에서 연습해.
The next day, on the day of the Gaeagum competition, Gi-won was ready with her grandfather to compete in a hanbok. But she ended up skipping it and ran away because Lee Shin came by and invited her to an audition. While rushing off, she tripped on her own skirt, and Lee Shin, trying to help her, ended up spraining his wrist. This meant he couldn't perform at his best while playing the guitar. Feeling betrayed, her grandfather was furious and kicked Gi-won out, so her father had to leave her at Lee Shin's house.
잘했어. 걱정 말고 있어도 돼. 감사합니다.
With his mother and sister away at lessons, Lee Shin and Gi-won were finally all alone. Lee Shin showed Gi-won around his row. He also gave Gi-won a notebook from his father and promised to take it back once he became a famous guitarist. Being a man, Lee Shin didn't want to miss the chance to get close to Gi-won and tried to kiss her. But Young-hin walked into the room and caught them in the act. The kid threatened to tell his mother and Gi-won's grandfather. Embarrassed, Gi-won ran off and prepared to move to Bo-won's house, which she felt was safer. But before Gi-won could stay elsewhere, it turned out her grandfather had already forgiven her. It turns out her father pleaded with him, convincing him that Gi-won's talent shouldn't be wasted.
하고 싶은 거 허락해 주세요, 아버지.
Out of everyone, only Gi-won passed as a solo singer, while Windflower and The Stupid unfortunately failed to make the cut. Despite their failure, they were still happy for Gi-won's success. To be honest, Gi-won feels uneasy about studying abroad and being away from Lee Shin, but Lee Shin reassures her that he will wait for her and keep the faith. Lee Shin also promises that by the time Gi-won returns from abroad, he'll be a famous guitarist. He doesn't forget to share the good news with Professor Yun-soo and the producer. They're both proud because the producer has recognized his talent from the very beginning. On the other hand, Hee-ju, who has finished her surgery, is visited by the gossip trio. They're amazed at how attentive Jun-hee is to her, always on standby, more than the medical staff. During recovery, Hee-ju's mother apologizes to her daughter for being too ambitious and making her sick.
너 이렇게 맞는 것 같아.
아니야.
In front of her sister, Hee-ju motivates her to watch her diet so she can look perfect as their mother wants. It's a bit sad, but that's just how Hee-ju's mother is. That night, Lee Shin, whose hand is still sprained, forces himself to perform on the Catharsis stage. While playing his guitar, he can't hide the pain, eventually kneeling and groaning in agony on stage. Despite being in extreme pain, Lee Shin tries to act fine when Gi-won, the producer, and Professor Yun-soo approach him. He keeps hiding his pain from Gi-won so that she won't feel guilty about it. He then continues to perform with great enthusiasm until the show is over. When he goes to see the doctor, it turns out his injury is quite serious, affecting the nerves and requiring surgery. To minimize any further damage, the doctor recommends that he undergo surgery. However, Lee Shin wants to postpone it until next month. Meanwhile, Gi-won, feeling guilty for causing Lee Shin's injury, is hesitant about leaving for her year-long study in England. She has prepared everything and says goodbye to her grandfather, but her grandfather ignores her completely because he dislikes Western culture and now cares more about Young-yun, his student.
알 바 없으니까 어서 나가.
The day before, Gi-won almost cancels her plans to leave and asks the director for permission. She can't bear to see Lee Shin's hand getting worse, to the point where he can't even hold a glass without it shattering. To be honest, it's very hard for Lee Shin to let her go. But to him, Gi-won's dream is more important than his hand, and he doesn't want her to keep worrying about him. He chooses to step back and sacrifice his love, asking Gi-won to break up so she can focus on her studies in England. With a heavy heart, Lee Sin returns the doll keychain given to him by Gi-won. Though he seems strong and unburdened, his heart breaks even more as he watches Gi-won cry for him. Meanwhile, it turns out the producer and Professor Yun-soo are also planning to go to America on business. It seems they will be staying there for 1 year. Before leaving, Suk-young checks to see if Lee Sin is okay, because his condition is quite worrying. Finally, Lee Sin works up the courage to inform his friends he's having surgery, and asks them to keep the whole thing a secret from Ki-won.
수술해야 된다고.
Lee Sin has apparently resigned from his job at Catharsis and said goodbye to take a long break. Ki-won's departure and Lee Sin's resignation from Catharsis make Jun-hee and Hee-ju feel sad. 1 year later, everything has completely changed. Ki-won, who just returned from training in England, has truly become an amazing star. Her album is selling like hotcakes, and her name has become the talk of the town. Seeing how successful Ki-won is now, Hee-ju's mother, seeing her in the paper, is cynical again and motivates her daughter to surpass her. It's no longer Hee-ju who's the target of her ambition, but her younger sister, Jung-ju, who's forced onto a strict diet like her sister was. The woman even asks Professor Taejin again to give Jung-ju's special treatment, just like he did for Hee-ju before. Taejun is powerless and carries out his duties to save his career. Meanwhile, producer Suk-yeon and Professor Yun-soo have returned from America. The two are happily greeted by Myung-soo at the airport. Good news also comes to Myung-soo. He's now in charge of managing the Catharsis Cafe because the owner is abroad. With Sarong by his side, his life is more colorful. Upon returning to Korea, Suk-young plans to start an agency. First, he wants to recruit talented students on campus and asks them to gather at the Catharsis Cafe. They are truly happy to be reunited with their coach. This time, Suk-young plans to recruit them for a musical drama project titled Love Games. Hee-ju is very excited to be the lead and promises to compete and beat Ki-won. Hearing Ki-won's name mentioned, Bo-won immediately feels sad. Since her best friend broke up with Lee-sin, she's felt sad and hopes they can get back together.
도원이랑 신이랑 너무 불쌍해.
To start the project, the producer tries to contact Lee-sin to be the lead actor. But he's only willing to be the composer and doesn't want to be the actor. After the surgery, Lee-sin spends his time at home and only practices songwriting. His hands aren't as strong as they once were when playing guitar. Meanwhile, his sister has taken up the traditional gaegeum and become their grandfather's favorite student. The producer then reaches out to Kyuwon, who's busy practicing her dancing. He wants her to be the lead, but he also explains that Lee Shin is trying to avoid the project.
미국에 있는 1년 동안 실력이 엄청 늘었지.
Kyuwon misses him dearly and wants to work on a project with Lee Shin again. She asks Lee Shin to meet, but his cold attitude breaks her heart, leading her to drink uncontrollably. In the end, Kyuwon's father has to carry her home because Lee Shin refused to pick her up. Kyuwon's father realizes that Lee Shin is still in love with his daughter. He asks them to get back together so they won't end up with regrets like he did. But Lee Shin just ignores them. Meanwhile, the producer is troubled seeing Kyuwon and Lee Shin drifting further apart. He tries his best to bring them back together and restore their old relationship. He reveals the truth. Lee Shin hid his condition so that Kyuwon wouldn't have to worry about him. She's shocked to learn Lee Shin had surgery while she was pursuing her dreams abroad. She feels deeply guilty about the sacrifice Lee Shin made for her sake. Kyuwon had lashed out at Lee Shin, hating him for breaking up with her for no apparent reason.
난 그것도 모르고 너 미워하려고 얼마나 노력했는지 알아?
In her distress, Kyuwon retraces the steps of her past memories with Lee Shin. As it turns out, Lee Shin does the same and follows her to the Pine Tree Park. When they meet, Lee Shin pulls Kyuwon into a hug and tells her how much he loves her. The two finally reunite on the Catharsis stage, collaborating on a song together. From the audience, producer Suk-hin feels proud for bringing these two talented students together. And so, the movie comes to an end.